everybody. Glad to be here with you again. Apologize for the tardiness, but sometimes life be lifing and a lot is happening. And this is going to be the first of two lives that I will do today. So hopefully, if you are watching the replay on this, you will join me later on this evening because I will have things to talk about. Good afternoon, Laura. Hello, everybody. If you are watching me on YouTube, on Substack, on Facebook, the Book of Faces, any of those places, make sure that you speak when you get into the chat so that I can talk to you. Hey, Red Hot, what's up? How are you guys? What's up, Allie Nicole? What's up, the boss? I literally thought that was my vitamin D. No, it was a cinnamon Altoid that I almost swallowed whole. I don't know what I just did with my vitamin D. I'll find it in a second. What's up, Carmen? Hello, and Dixie. Hello, Brandy. Good to see you. What's up, DeBose? Hello, Stunt. Good to see you. Hey, Celia. Hey, Dad Jokes. Hey, Sage. What's up? Good morning, Tara Love. Good to see you. I know, Grammy. It's been a day already. You know what I mean? So, hey, 2409. Good to see you, Farah. What is up, Conchita? No guests today. Yeah, Sarah, what it is this stupid thing is up on my TikTok for whatever reason. But yeah, no, I will absolutely be taking guests here shortly. So yeah, 100%. Hey, Pamela, I do have a lot of information to give out today. I also do have a hard stop because I have to get the girls off the bus at 2:15. So that means 2:10. I will have to stop. Like I said, though, I will have a second live later today. So no fret. And that's not like an if, that is a definitive second live will happen today. And that is because, hey, eyes, it's because I have some information that is of national interest, but it also is specific to Virginia. So this, it has to do with elections. And it has to do with, some info. And so I have some additional documents coming to me. So that's why I'm not talking about it right now, but I will be talking about it later. Right. So what's up, Cam? I think I've said hi to everybody, but I don't know. Yeah. When Dixie, there is the tea that is coming on Terry Kilgore is going to be really interesting. Hey, Renee. So for those of you guys who do not know, Terry Kilgore is the majority leader in the House for the Commonwealth of Virginia. He is, I am not a fan. Let me just go ahead and say that for transparency purposes. I am not a fan of Terry Kilgore. Terry Kilgore is not a fan of me. I came to know of him and dislike him greatly when during the healthcare protest against ballot health. But the thing that I want to talk about today, hey, Sully, the thing that I want to talk about with him later on this evening is not around that at all. And let me just say this. The thing that I'm going to talk about this evening is something that, and I will be naming names. I will be naming the names of the national media outlets that refused to run this story. I will be naming the names and telling the truth about who had this information prior to me and did not want to go public with it for whatever reason. So that will be happening later. Some of the information is already in my inbox. I'm getting some more of it that is coming here later. And then Terry Kilgore will be the subject of my live this evening. So there's that. All right. Hey, David. Hey, Cheryl. What's up, Witch? Good to see everybody. Hey, Danielle. Yeah, it is yeah. That's why I'm late getting on my live today. As I have been busy trying to kind of get everything lined up and ready to go. Once again, didn't get everything done that I needed to get done here, but it is what it is. It's just going to be that. Hello, Thomas. Good to see you. Right, Tara Love. Oh, boy. But I have a lot of information to talk about today. So can I just go ahead and say, just to kind of set the tone for today, one of the things I'm not going to talk about, Jimmy Kimmel. Why? One of the reasons I'm not is because everybody's talking about it. I don't have to tell you all that they are slowly but surely trying to make their way to state-run media. I don't have to tell you that censoring the press and free speech because you don't like their criticism of you is a step closer towards fascism. I don't need to tell you all that. I don't need to tell you that Brendan Carr is a hypocrite and not in line with the Constitution because everybody's talking about that. So you already know. Fair to say, right? So I don't know that there's anything that I could add to it that you haven't already heard. I don't have some secret anything around that, right? So that's why. What I am going to talk about today are a few things that are really what I believe to be important. I do want to talk about what the CDC did yesterday in their recommendations around vaccines for children, specifically Hep B and some others. I do want to talk about that. I do want to talk about the testimony of the CDC director and the former CDC medical officer, chief medical officer, Dr. Oury, in front of the Senate committee the day before yesterday. I do want to talk about that. But I also want to talk about some documents that have come out this week from the Government Accountability Office. It's incredibly important that we don't forget the work that they do. And so there's a lot of information that I believe to be pertinent about that. And there's one more thing that I need to pull up so that I can tell you about it. Give me 1 second. Holy geez. Give me 1 second. Folks, do me a favor and ignore the trolls. I will be giving them an opportunity to join the panel. And if they choose not to, they can just continue to help the algorithm, right? That's what they can do. So give me just a second. Blaze of Glory, feel free to join the panel if you want to have a conversation about the things that I say. If you don't want to join the panel and you want to continue to be a mediocre human being, then just stay in the comments and spew your nonsense. Okay, there you go. That's all I have to say to you. I want to find something really quick. Yes. Okay, got it. Or just swoop and leave. I don't really care which one, right? Just ignore them. And the reason why I say that, folks, is they're only here to distract, and we have too much really important information to talk about. Like real talk, things that I am going to ask you to do, right? I'm going to ask you to make sure that you tap and like the live. If you're on YouTube, make sure that you click the little thumbs up button. I'm going to ask you to share the live, right? Things that let the algorithm know, hey, look, we like what's being done here. We want to make sure that this information gets out. If you have the ability to and you feel like gifting, then for goodness sake, do that too. If you don't or you cannot, no skin off my teeth, no skin off your teeth. Don't worry about it. It's going to be fine, right? So those are the things that help us. So I want to go ahead and start with some news that I shared when I was on Jeremiah's live yesterday, but I did not go live on my own page yesterday. So I'm going to share with you the information that I shared with Jeremiah. So for those of you all who are in my Discord, you probably remember that a couple of days ago, I put a link to Mohammed's spot fund. And the reason why I did that is because he was in North Gaza. He was in the north, and he needed to evacuate south and to get him and his family south. And we had a dollar amount that they needed to be able to make that happen. So I am really thrilled to tell you all. I believe I put it in the, what's up, Dugald? I believe I put it in the Discord as well. His family has made it to the south. They made it to the south yesterday. I'm excited because I was able to, he gave me his number and we were able to get in touch on WhatsApp instead of just through TikTok. And he video chatted me yesterday. And so I got a chance to see where they are in the South. I got to meet his mother on that video chat. I got to meet his sister. I got to meet his wife, and I got to meet his toddler, beautiful, gorgeous little boy yesterday as well. And they were all very, very grateful to you. And they were very, and when I say very thankful, they were very, very thankful because they have made it to the South. So that is where they are. I went into the movie night channel and Discord yesterday and shared that with people so that you could see that. Hey, Nance, good to see you. And so, you know, we oftentimes sit on this app and we have conversations and people will say, what can we do to help? What can we do to help? I feel so helpless. Well, the great news is that we have an opportunity to help. And you all did. And some people gave $10, some people gave $100, some people gave, you know, whatever. The reality is that all of that together made it possible for them to get a large flatbed to take all of their things south. And so they do have a tent that they are in now. It's pretty worn. And so the next step will be before winter comes, which things start to really cool off, especially by the ocean in November. Good morning, Cheryl. Hey, Linda. And so, so it would be great to be able to help them get a tent between now and then. Hey, Darlene, you're more than welcome. So if you have the ability, go into my Discord or go into my link tree. You will see the link for Mohammed, and you will be able to kind of help, right? And listen, if you can't give monetarily, then share the link, right? All of those things help, and it's all good no matter what. Okay, so I just want everyone to realize that. Yeah. Love that, Kat. And so, so I did want to pass that on to you all. If you all remember the way that he looked the last time that he was on with us several days ago, to see him yesterday and to see his face smiling and to see his family and his mother, and which I can tell you now, he gets his gorgeous smile from his mother. It was so great. It was really good. And so I wanted you all to know that that you were able to contribute. You did a great thing. And yeah, it was like night and day. So it was incredible and amazing. So I wanted to start with a little bit of good news. How about that? Yes, me too, right? Yeah, he had some relief. Is it perfect? No, right? But at least there is some relief. And so we're happy to know about that. I'm going to say this too, for those of you all, if you are new to my live, do me a favor, please, and put a 1 in the comments, just so I can see who's live, so I can share with who's new, so I can share with you how we do things in this space. And then I'm going to kind of give you an overview of the things that we're going to be talking about today. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the brand new Government Accountability Office report about the DoD's fiscal year 2024. And their balance sheet and what their audit looked like. We are going to be talking about hospital closures, not just rural hospital closures, but specifically urban hospital closures, because there has been a Government Accountability Office inquiry into that. And so I'm going to be telling you about that report as well. I'm also going to be telling you about the remediation efforts to meet the audit mandate for the DoD. And so we're going to talk about that as well. And then we're going to be talking about new concerns that have come up with regard to Medicaid and Medicaid demonstrations, Medicaid concerns, all of those types of things. Okay. And then we are going to also be talking about the Government Accountability Office's report and recommendations regarding U.S. arms transfers. And what their outlook is. And their outlook is that the State Department should improve investigations and reporting of foreign partners' end-use violations. And so, so that's obviously something that we're going to be interested in talking about. Hey, Carla. Hey, Penny G. Hey, Irma. I am really glad and grateful to see all of you all, and very, very appreciative. Let me just also say this. I will be changing things around in terms of subscriptions. So TikTok is going to be transitioning folks from the regular subscription rate of $3 to this new super fan rate, right? As that takes place, previously what I had is people that were doing $3 on TikTok were they didn't have access to certain things, right? They were subscribers, but they didn't have access to some of the other coaching programs that I have and some of the other materials. If you are a super fan, you will not have access to the health and wellness program and some of the other things that are in what we would consider to be that silver membership, because the dollar amounts are the same. So I just wanted to let everyone know that that is a change that is going to be forthcoming. And I will let you all know when all of that gets implemented that way. Yeah, because here's my thing is that, so John, TikTok put out that they are going to be transitioning people from the regular $3 subscribers to this, yeah, that they're going to be switching it. Scotty just said Danikins and Lunakins unite. No, Conchita, I don't believe that I am. I think the tier amounts are going to stay the same, because if I'm not mistaken, the super fan is like $9 or something like that per month, which is what my silver is already. And so that's what that's going to be. So give me a second and I will lay out all the details, and then I'll post it in the Discord, and then people can choose what really makes the most sense for them. Right, Katzmandu, perfect. And so, yeah, and so you will have the choice of whether or not you do it through TikTok or whether you do it through me. And so, and this is my thing, is that if you are doing it, if you would rather do it to me directly, but you would miss your stickers or whatever, we're going to figure that out, right? So that if you still want to keep your stickers on TikTok, because I don't get to control that, right? But if you still want to keep your stickers on TikTok, I'll figure out a way to maybe add some extras because things are changing. Okay, if that makes sense. Hey Doug, hey Krista, you're new. Great, welcome. Glad to see you, Krista. So for those of you guys that are new to me, I'm going to explain to you kind of how I do things in this space. So this is not a space where I engage in debates. I do engage in discussions, conversations, dialogue, even discourse, right? We do have conversations that are sometimes very passionate and they can get a little heated. However, I only ask for four things in all of these discussions is one, that you be respectful. Two, that you do not use slurs of any kind. Three, you do not spam my comments. If you got something to say whatever you want to say, but don't say it 6, 7, 8 times because it's not productive. And then the last one is do not type in all caps. And the reason why is because all caps are reserved for my moderators and all caps are reserved for my folks that are, thanks, Carla. It's also reserved for my folks that are vision impaired, right? So even if you want to like be a smartass and mock me, and like no caps, don't do that because you're literally showing your ableism with a disregard for the folks that are vision impaired. So don't be an asshole, but don't be someone that that does something that is specifically available for folks that are vision impaired. Don't be that person, right? Don't be that person that uses the handicap parking when you're not handicapped. Don't be that, right? And that's what the equivalent of using caps is on TikTok when you're not vision impaired. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, Ramona. So, hey, mom with goals. So give me a second. Found my vitamins. Yeah, that's what it is. All right. So let's dive right in. So the first place that I want to start today is I actually want to start with a new segment that I'm called you accidentally subscribed to me until 2027. You can change it though, right, Michelle T? You can change it. Girl, it's a long time. I think you should be able to change it on here. You did it through TikTok. You should be able to change it. Oh yeah. Um I hope that you can. You should be able to. It shouldn't be a problem. Good morning, Shanna. Good to see you. Hey, Bree. All right. So first, I want to talk about this. So how many of you all are familiar with the GAO? Right. Serious dedication. Coolest mom ever. Hey, Inger. You guys are familiar with the GAO, which is the Government Accountability Office. Hey, Scotty. You guys are familiar with this organization? So we've talked about the GAO for a while now. And one of the times that we were talking about the GAO is when they did a report into the very first time that Donald Trump attempted to do a Schedule F change, which was in the first administration. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Salika. So Schedule F, if you do not remember what this was about, it's also identified in, yay, Yasha, I'm glad. So Schedule F is talked about in Project 2025, no matter how many times people would hope that it wasn't, it is. And what Schedule F is where in 2020, the Trump administration introduced an executive order. I believe it is Executive Order 13957. That executive order was specifically about how to change different positions in federal government and move some of those positions over from like Schedule A, Schedule B, Schedule C, Schedule D into a particular new category of federal employee called Schedule F. And what does that mean? So when you have different schedulings, it's just basically a different type of position. So for example, with Schedule D or Schedule E, whatever, that schedule, that specific classification means that you could be hired and maybe you got special considerations if you were a veteran, or you got special considerations if you were disabled, or you got whatever, right? And Schedule F said that it was to change that so that you could be hired or fired basically at will. And it would have allowed the administration to get rid of career federal employees and replace them easily with people that would go along with what they want them to do. And that is what we have seen come to fruition with this new administration. Okay. And so it's a horrible thing, Linda. It's more than just like not a good thing. It is a horrible thing. And it's important to talk about that. And so what I want to talk about today with regard to that is that particular issue specific to the CDC. Okay. So if you all remember, how many of you all were in my live 2 days ago when we listened to the former CDC director that was fired by RFK Jr. last month, and you listened to her and you listened to Dr. Owley's testimony before the Senate committee? You were here? Love that. Okay, great. So if you remember 2 days ago, the reason why this was so important is because they had taken this board that was on the, it's the board that gave vaccine recommendations, right? Immunization recommendations. And they got rid of that entire board. I'm going to play some of it brief for you today, right? But so the CDC director was testifying before the Senate about how she came to be terminated by RFK Jr. She was also the former CDC chief medical officer, Dr. Owley was also testifying. And so we're going to be talking about some of the things that they shared with us then. And the reason why it was so important is the day after that testimony, which was yesterday, the new people that had formed this board, the political appointees that were now put on this immunization recommendation board, they were looking at a couple of really important things. So like one, whether or not they were going to move the recommendation for hepatitis B, which is currently recommended for babies to get, newborns to get at birth, whether they were going to move that to a recommendation for that to happen at 4 years of age. And the reason why this was really, really interesting and really important is because so the chairman of that committee, Senator Cassidy, is also he's also a liver doctor. Like that was his specialty. And so he had serious concerns and was talking about the fact that, you know, a lot of pregnant women do not know that they have Hep B. And when a baby passes through that birth canal, then they can acquire that Hep B along with lots of other things, right? Whether it's HIV or whatever. And the reason why this is important is because if those newborns do not get that Hep B vaccination, then 90% of them go on to have liver disease, right? And so they were specifically they focused on that during this testimony. So yesterday, guess what happened? Yesterday, this new committee, they absolutely did exactly what the Trump administration wanted them to do, what the Trump organization asked. They moved the recommendation from newborn to 4 years of age, and not just for Hep B, for several others. And so what that means now is if you give birth and you want that Hep B vaccine for your child, your insurance company is not going to pay for it. Okay. So first things first, I want to share with you the introduction to the former CDC director's testimony and let you hear what she had to say. All right. And it's a few minutes long, so, but we need to hear it. Okay, you ready?
Is your microphone on?
I believe it's on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, close to the mic.
Thank you. Chairman Cassidy, Ranking Member Sanders, and distinguished members of this committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before you again. My name is Susan Monares, and I am a microbiologist and immunologist. Exactly 12 weeks ago, in this same room, I testified that if confirmed, I would lead the CDC to restore public trust, modernize public health infrastructure.
Insurance companies don't want you to know this.
Oh dear God,
Homeowners,
not an
if your
ad.
insurance rates keep going up like mine, then you
And strengthen the agency's core mission of protecting Americans from infectious diseases and emerging threats. I was honored to be nominated by President Trump
Hep B,
and
Mr.
confirmed
Z,
with the
Hep
Senate
B.
support.
And this
Secretary
isn't about
Kennedy
the
himself
test.
swore me in on July 31st, calling me a public health expert with unimpeachable scientific credentials. My tenure as CDC director lasted 29 days. Since my removal, several explanations have been offered: that I told the secretary I would resign, that I was not aligned with the administration priorities, or that I was untrustworthy. None of those reflect what actually happened. I'll share the details, but I want to be clear. Today should not be about me. Today should be about the future of trust in public health.
Guys, I need for you all to listen to what I'm saying. This, what you will hear them talk about specifically is about Hep B. Hep B is what they testified about at this congressional hearing. And if you'll just listen, you're going to hear both the videos that I'm going to give you. That recommendation was for it to be given at birth, and they have now changed that recommendation for 4 years of age, which is horrendous. But just listen, and I'm literally playing for you what they're saying. It's not Hep C, it's not Hep A. We are literally talking about HB specifically, Hep B, okay? So this is the former CDC director.
The events leading to my dismissal began weeks before August 25th.
Yes, chill.
On August 2nd, I learned from media reports that experts serving as liaison representatives to the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the ACIP, including those from major medical societies, had been removed from its working groups. The following week, I heard concerns that the ACIP might alter childhood vaccine schedule at its September meeting, potentially without credible supporting data. On August 8th, a gunman, driven by vaccine distrust, fired 180 rounds into CDC headquarters in Atlanta, killing Officer David Rose. In the days after the attack, I focused on security, staff, and ensuring the CDC could continue its mission. On August 19th, I received a directive from the Secretary's office that I now required prior approval from my political staff for CDC policy and personnel decisions. On August 21st, I was told to return to Washington from Atlanta immediately, which would have meant missing Officer Rose's memorial, something I was not willing to do. When I did return, I was concerned about my ability to continue to lead the CDC while preserving evidence-based decision-making, commitments I had made to this committee during my confirmation hearing. On the morning of August 25th, Secretary Kennedy demanded two things of me that were inconsistent with my oath of office and the ethics required of a public official. He directed me to commit in advance to approving every ACIP recommendation, regardless of the scientific evidence. He also directed me to dismiss career officials responsible for vaccine policy without cause. He said if I was unwilling to do both, I should resign. I responded that I could not pre-approve recommendations without reviewing the evidence.
Right, Lynette.
And I had no basis to fire scientific experts. He told me he had already spoken with the White House several times about having me removed. For 3 decades, I have worked at the intersection of public health, science, and technology innovation, always challenging the status quo and welcoming the changes that come from research and discovery. Even under pressure, I could not replace evidence with ideology or compromise my integrity.
Dr. Mornaz, you're almost out of time. I'll be generous, but if you could speed up just a little.
Vaccine policy must be guided by credible data, not predetermined outcomes. As I wrote in my September 4th Wall Street Journal op-ed, I agree with President Trump. We should not hesitate to ask for proof about our vaccines. And I also agree with his most recent comments that vaccines are not controversial because they work. Demanding evidence is exactly what I was doing when I insisted CDC recommendations be based on credible science. I was never misaligned with the administration priorities. The goals Secretary Kennedy recently cited publicly: protecting the public from threats, building infrastructure, modernizing systems, investing in the workforce, and enhancing scientific rigor were the same priorities I articulated at my confirmation hearing and began advancing during my short tenure. I remain supportive of those priorities. The question is whether they can be achieved without the expertise required at CDC.
Right.
Regarding trustworthiness, I cannot define that word for Secretary Kennedy. I made commitments to this committee that I would lead with integrity, transparency, purpose, and work with Congress to maximize health outcomes and protect the American people. Secretary Kennedy told me he could not trust me. I had refused to commit to approving vaccine recommendations without evidence, fire career officials without cause, or resign, and I had shared my concerns with this committee. I told the secretary that if he believed he could not trust me, he could fire me. The next day, I was told I still had my job, but the secretary's expectations remained: approval of ACIP recommendations and dismissal of career scientists. I would not commit to that, and I believe it is the true reason I was fired. Tomorrow, the reconstituted ACIP will meet. Its composition has already raised concerns from the medical community.
Right.
Based on what I observed during my tenure, there is a real risk that recommendations could be made restricting access to vaccines for children and others in need without rigorous scientific review. With no permanent CDC director in place, those recommendations could be adopted. The stakes are not theoretical. We already have seen the largest measles outbreak in more than 30 years, which claimed the lives of 2 children. If vaccine protections are weakened, preventable diseases will return. I was fired for holding the line on scientific integrity, but that line does not disappear with me. It now runs through every parent deciding whether to vaccinate a child, every physician counseling a patient, and every American who demands accountability. I want to end where I began with my confirmation hearing. I spoke then about the value of hard work, paying my own way through college, and my lifelong dedication to science and public health. On August 25th, I could have stayed silent, agreed to the demands, and no one would have known. What the public would have seen were scientists dismissed without cause and vaccine protections quietly eroded, all under the authority of a Senate-confirmed director with unimpeachable. I could have kept the office, the title, but I would have lost the one thing that cannot be replaced: my integrity. Some may question my motives or mischaracterize my words. That is part of public life, but I am not here as a politician. I'm here as a scientist, a public servant, and a parent committed to protecting the health of future generations. The question before us is whether we will keep faith with our children and grandchildren, ensuring they remain safe from the diseases we fought so hard to defeat: polio, measles, diphtheria, whooping cough, and many others.
Yes.
Undoing that progress would not only be reckless, it would betray every family that trusts us to protect their health. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you.
So
All right, this feels
that was the opening from the former CDC director as she showed up to testify in front of the Senate committee 2 days ago. As you heard her talk about ICIP, the ACIP, they met yesterday and they are meeting again today to vote on whether or not they are changing these recommendations. And we know that as of yesterday, they are changing the Hep B recommendation, which is going to prove disastrous for our children. I want to be very clear about what's happening. So when we talk about vaccine recommendations, immunization recommendations, they are exactly that. They are recommending. Yeah, I know, Renee. So they are recommendations. They are not mandates, right? One of the things that they talked about in this committee hearing is that, what parents should do is talk to their pediatrician, review their child's specific needs, and then make the determination of what's best for them. The recommendations are based on data and evidence as to, what's in the best interest of the majority of the population, knowing that, there may be exceptions to that. Okay. So when they have these recommendations, your insurance company will pay for them, right? If the CDC is recommending that this is what you get, then most often your insurance company is going to cover them. When they change those recommendations and they say, no, you're not going to get them at birth now, you're now going to get them at 4 years of age, then if you want them at birth, which is what the data supports doing, then you're going to have to pay for that out of pocket. So this is important. Same thing with your C19. So let me just be clear about this, folks. Now that the federal government has determined that you are that free C19 vaccination should not be available for absolutely everyone, then you will have to pay out of pocket for them, right? So my 80-year-old mother got hers 2 days ago. Okay. If she did not still have her TRICARE from my dad and from her military service, then she would have had to pay for it out of pocket, right? You can't get C19 vax there at all because they haven't been clear. See, it's so crazy, right? It is absolutely wild what we are doing when it comes to our Health and Human Services division. It's absolutely crazy because the science does not support, right? And so some states are taking, hey Rebel, some states are taking their own measures. I don't know, Tam Bam, and I would imagine that it would depend upon the state and where you're getting it and all of those things. Okay, so things that folks should know is that there's so many comments happening. Listen, folks, it's going to vary by state. Some states are having their own recommendations. And I would imagine that those states, what do you mean, Scotty? Military people don't have passports. Military people don't need passports. Military people don't travel like that. In terms, like when you're deployed somewhere, you don't need a passport for travel as military. So some states are absolutely doing their own recommendations, and I would imagine that they will be working with. Yeah, Scotty. The military people have always been. Military has always had required vaccinations, but it's different. In the military, you're not paying for those vaccinations, right? In the military, you just get them and you don't have a choice, right? You just roll up your sleeve and you get it and you go. Right, but Soggy Bottom, we're just talking about like your average deployment. Okay. Lisa, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind everybody how we got here. And this is what happens a lot with this administration. We are literally here because they made a bunch of stuff up during the 2020 election cycle because Trump, screwed the pooch on the handling of the C-19 pandemic. So they had to flip the script. They had to call it a hoax. They, made up all this stuff up about the vaccine to try to take down Biden and criticize him. And now we're literally using a political strategy to determine vaccine schedules. Like, I mean, it's like that we're, the tail's wagging the dog here. It's not about science. It's not about
medicine
at all. It's because they've gotten to this point from a political strategy in 2020 to now. So now they're just moving with it. And I'm not even sure if they even remember how they got here.
I don't know that they care how we got here, right?
Yeah, I don't think that they care, but I'm still trying to figure out, Danny, like a lot of this stuff has to do with money. Is it just that simple that the insurance companies are like, yeah, that thing that you were doing with the vaccines? If we do this and this and that, you can save us a lot of money. Here's some donations. Like, is it really that simple? I can't figure out what's going on.
Well, it just depends, right? So I think that people need to understand that there's a lot of eugenics at play here. Yes. We have a president who believes in eugenics. We have a president who believes that there are certain people with superior genes. He's talked about it tons and tons over the years about superior genes and what that looks like. And there are some people who do have a belief that if you have these superior genes, then you will survive. You won't be weak, right? And that this will only negatively impact weak people or people with weak genes and all of that. And it's just very irresponsible in terms of what's happening. And so that's one of the things that I want to play for you all is for people who say, hey, Amy, for people who say this is not political, you are sorely misinformed. And what I'm going to play for you next is this clip where you actually hear what's happening and what type of members we have within the CDC now. And here's what I mean by that. So you have two type of people that work at the CDC and in many federal government organizations. You have people that are career, which means that's their field of specialty. That's their career immunologist, their career epidemiologist, their career whatever. And then you have other people that are just politically appointed. So you have political positions and then you have career positions. And I want you to hear what we currently have and do not have at the CDC when it comes to career positions versus political positions. You ready? Here we go.
You can drive me, Danny.
Okay, love. Got you, sis.
Thank you both for being here to testify this afternoon. I think it was you, Dr. Menares, you made the comment in your testimony that this is about the future of the trust in public health. And I really feel that's where we are today. There's been a lot of, I don't want to call it he said, she said, back and forth, but there's been a lot that folks have tried to drill down on exactly your comments and exactly Secretary Kennedy's. And you also made the point that this is not about you. It's about trust in our public health institutions, because that's what I'm worried most about. I don't know you other than the few times that we've had an opportunity to visit. I've just met you, Dr. Hori. I'm sure you're both good women, working hard, doing good things for others. But really, this is about trust in our institutions. And this is where I feel we are really, really vulnerable right now. We've all been back and forth with these votes. And so I don't want to try to ask many of the same questions that have been asked. But we have a structure within the CDC that is your career public health officials. They provide the institutional knowledge, the scientific expertise, and very often continuity between administrations. I think, Dr. Hori, you said you had worked across 6 different administrations. Or
4 administrations, 6 directors.
So, I mean, you provide some level of continuity, that bridge between the political leadership that comes in and then the agency's scientific mission. And I hope, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you seek to ensure that the policy decisions are grounded in public health expertise while also meeting the goals of the administration. So, Dr. Menares, when you said yes to President Trump, when you said yes to Secretary Kennedy, you were also signing on to the goals of the administration here. I'm concerned that when career scientists then are excluded, maybe completely excluded from the director's office, what happens? Who does then provide the scientific expertise, this institutional memory that is needed to guide the agencies? I think we've heard from both of you that there was very little interaction between you, Dr. Menares, and the secretary. And Dr. Hurry, I think you have also testified that those who would ordinarily brief the secretary have not been present, but also to the point that was just made about the work groups, that no work groups other than the COVID working group were basically assigned to this upcoming ACIP meeting. Is that correct? So what happens then to this scientific mission when there are none of the career public health professionals that are in these positions to advise on the policy, to protect the scientific integrity, and really to ensure some level of continuity of operations when you're moving through a transition like this? Dr. Hurry?
So I think continuity is important. I certainly think openness to change and supporting the administration's priorities are important. I was selected to be the transition lead for the agency because I was known as somebody that could embrace both administrations and help implement policies. That was my goal. I'm the last, or I was the last career left in the office of the director. I have no doubt that my role will be replaced by a political.
May I stop you there? You're the last career. So then are you saying that everyone that is remaining
in the office of the director is a political? Yes.
Is a political. And so there is nobody then that is, there must be somebody that is providing that career science then.
A level down, we do have center directors, although 80% are now acting because they've been fired, resigned, or retired.
So did you all hear what she just said? She was the last. She was the last career within the CDC. And I leveled down at the center level, right? You have some career folks that aren't political appointments, but 80% of them are just acting because most of them have either resigned or been fired. I wanted to play that clip for you all because when it happened, and we were watching it live when it happened, I was like, holy shit. And everyone should be literally saying, holy shit, right? Period. I want to address something that was said in the comments. Number one, somebody said, it's time to leave this country. It's just that simple. And let me say this, that is a very privileged position to take. Because most Americans can't even think about leaving this country. Most Americans can't even consider what it would be like to move from the neighborhood they are currently in to a different neighborhood, right? So when you say, oh, you know what I mean? It's just time to leave the country. That you might want to ask yourself, if you're saying that, then you are coming from a place of privilege, 100%, right? So sit with that for a minute and do whatever you want to do with it, right? But I'm just kind of giving you that for consideration because most of the country can't even think about anything like that. Teacher from the hood, if you want to talk shit to me, join my panel and do it. How about you do that? Okay. I believe that you and I have interacted before. So you know how to join the panel. You know how to have a respectful conversation with me one-on-one. Right? You also know that I will typically like dog walk your ass with facts and information. So it's probably why you're just jipping in the comments. So you let me know if you want to have a real conversation about me and TikTok and you know, Trump and whatever. If you want to do that, hit the request button and come on. That's what you can do. That's the way I feel today. Okay. I'm going to be respectful, right? But I am going to call you on your bullshit. So just so we're clear, I don't have time. I don't have time. If you are, listen, if you are going to run your mouth at me in the comments, then at least have the courage to get on the panel and back it up. Because if you don't have the courage to get on the panel, then I don't take you seriously. I don't believe you are here with any genuine thought that is your own. I think you are here to be disruptive. I think you are here to be a troll. And that is really fucking sad, because what that means is you are in no way, shape, or form a patriot. You are no one that gives a shit about this country at all, because you think now is the time to troll and be a smartass on social media, instead of actually being concerned about what the fuck is happening in this country. That's what it tells me about you. So, just saying. And you said teacher from the hood, which makes me think you're not in the hood no more. So go to the hood and talk shit and see how that works for you. How about that? Cheryl, I played that clip. It is on PBS NewsHour on their YouTube. That's where I played it from. Yeah, that's how much bandwidth I have for fuckery today. Okay. I'm going to play that last little part again, because I think it's really, really important that you hear what she said. So this is Lisa Murkowski, Senator Lisa Murkowski, who is questioning Dr. Oury, who is the former CDC chief medical officer. Okay. And the former CDC director is also here. Yeah, Cheryl. So I'm going to do a video on this. I just haven't had time yet. All right, so let me share it with you all one more time. You ready? Here we go.
Administrations and help implement policies. That was my goal. I'm the last, or I was the last career left in the office of the director. I have no doubt that my role will be replaced by a political.
May I stop you there? You're the last career. So then are you saying that everyone that is remaining
in the office of the director is a political? Yes.
Is a political. And so there is nobody then that is, there must be somebody that is providing that career science then.
A level down, we do have center directors, although 80% are now acting because they've been fired, resigned, or retired.
Dr. Menares, were you ever directed to not speak to career officials? Was that a directive that you received?
That was.
And when was that? When were you directed to not speak to career officials?
Yeah, that transpired over the course of August 25th in the engagements with Secretary Kennedy, and that I was directed to only work with the political appointees that he had put in place at CDC, and not to speak or work with career scientists.
Well, my time has expired.
So did you hear that? So the secretary for the Department of Health and Human Services advised the director of the CDC to not have conversations with and seek the advice or direction of career scientists at the CDC, but only the political appointees. You all do understand how dangerous that is, right? I think it's important for people to know, right, the Take It Back movement, just how crazy it is to understand that these are the conversations taking place within the Department of Health and Human Services. We are past the place of, oh my God, that's crazy. You know, I heard someone say, God, who was it? somebody that was talking about this, the firing of Stephen Colbert and then the firing of Jimmy Kimmel, and the person that was talking about it was saying something about, this is silly. Silly is the wrong word to use. Silly is the words matter, folks, and people that are in positions of leadership, people that are in places that have yeah, you're welcome, Joyson. The people that are in positions where people can hear you, your word choice is important. Silly is not appropriate. It is dangerous. It is irresponsible, right? It is unsafe. It is detrimental to the health and well-being of our children and of our country. Those are the words that we should be using. You hear me? It is dangerous. It is unsafe. It is fascist. It is illegal. It is unconstitutional. It is undemocratic. Today when I was taking the girls to school and my daughter to work, I passed this house, and I pass these a couple of houses like every time I take them in the morning. And every time I notice, maybe it's the military in me, and it really irks my fucking soul every time I see it. But there are these two houses with little Trump flags and whatever, but they also have American flags outside. And those American flags are always there every morning. And do you want to know what makes me mad about it? The flags that are outside are dirty. They are tattered. They are worn. You all do know that the flag is not supposed to be flown in inclement weather. You do know that, right? And while we're talking about things that are disrespectful to the flag, allowing the flag to be dirty, to be tattered, to be worn, to be all of that and fly it, that is actually unpatriotic. It's more disrespectful to the flag than taking a knee. We actually take a knee when we honor something. You do understand that, right? Right? We take a knee when we kneel at the altar. We take a knee when we kneel to pray. We take a knee when we kneel before royalty, right? We take a knee, right? And so let me tell you what I think. I think the people who fly those flags, right? The condition of that flag is the condition of their patriotism. Their patriotism is dirty. Their patriotism is tattered. Their patriotism is worn. Yes, it is respectful, Rifleman USMC. You should know. You fly the flag upside down when you're in distress. Yes, it's respectful. You should know that, Mr. Marine. Do you not know that that's when you fly the flag upside down? If you're going to ask me a question, know the answer to it before you ask it. Democracy, the Constitution, is in distress. Yes. And what do I make that determination by? I make that determination by the actual Constitution. I make that determination by the attack on free press. I make that determination by the suppression of free speech. I make that determination by the firing of health officials because they will not just follow an agenda and an ideology that is not based in science and in medical fact. So I base it on actual facts and data, not a fucking ideology or a political party. That's what I base it on. And if you knew anything about the actual facts and data, you'd know why the fuck the flag is upside down. So, any more questions today? Anything else that I could educate you on? Or are you done just being disruptive and irritating in my soul? The fact that you think putting rifleman underscore USMC as your name is like what you need to do tells me so much about you. The fact that you think that name is what's going to make you be such an alpha male, that whatever, right? Yeah, I'm calling for people to be respectful. Right. But listen, ask dumbass questions, get dumbass answers. Like, seriously, if you had an ounce of like real interest, I'd be talking to you different. But I know you and you know me. This ain't the first time you've come up in here, is it? No. That's why you're getting talked to the way that you're being spoken to. You're being spoken to in this manner because I already know who the fuck you are. And you know who I am. So no, you came up in here being disrespectful with dumbass questions that you know the answers to. So you are going to get spoken to like you asked me a dumbass question that was ingenuous, that was disingenuous, that wasn't sincere, that you don't have a vested interest in the topic at hand. So yeah, this is what you get. And this is being respectful because it is not how I really want to talk to you. This is as respectful as I can be. So anyway, yeah. So, oh, thank you for the puppy. I appreciate it, Candy Kiss. Right? Now, if you've got something else you really want to say, come on. So I'm Kelsey. Good morning, Sandra. Hey, Mark. Good to see you. Hey, Jamie. What's up, Ronnie? Yeah, like I'm not doing it today. So if you come in here with that dumb shit, then expect for me to, I'm going to return your energy today. That's what I'm going to say to you. I'm going to return your energy today. Okay. Now, if you want to have a real conversation about, no, I'm not matching energy. I'm just returning it back. See, the energy that you get from me is just me sending it back to you. That's not my energy with nobody else, right? I'm not matching everybody's energy. I'm just going to send your shit back to you. Like it or not. I don't care today at all. I don't have time. I don't have time for it. And the reason I don't have time for it is because I actually understand the position that we are in as a country. And I don't think many people do. I think that the United States of America has been in such a position that we have never had to defend our democracy the way that we are in right now. You understand that, right? And because I understand the position that we're in, I don't have any bandwidth for people that want to play games. Like if you pop in here and the only thing that you have to ask me is why your flag is upside down. Well, first of all, if you are really a rifleman in the United States Marine Corps, you should understand that. You know why. You know why. We have been in such a good place for a long time that most people don't understand that we are literally we are having to defend democracy from within. We haven't had that, right? It's been a long time since we had a problem with that, right? And I think that people really need to understand that. Yeah, this is from within, people. I don't know what you're talking about, 25 years. What are you talking about? Appreciate you, Uka. No, it doesn't happen literally every 25 years. No, it doesn't. Yeah. You know, right. Just chipping with 0 followers, a fucking bot, a bot. Hey Gunk, good to see you. Yeah, I'm just not doing it. And folks, listen, for the folks that are just japping in the comments, just let them jap. They're good for the algorithm. Period. But I want to go back and finish talking about what we just heard in the testimony that was before the Senate committee 2 days ago. Within the office of the director, within the CDC, there are no career scientists anymore. They are all political appointees. That should be alarming to you, to know that the ACIP are making recommendations based on political appointees and not career scientists. That should be concerning to you. The fact that okay, so Scotty, here's what she just said, and I'm saying it again. Okay, so Dr. Oury, who is the former chief medical officer within the CDC, she was the last career scientist within the office of the director at the CDC. The director, the former director of the CDC, was actually told by the secretary to not seek the advice, to not talk to career scientists, but only to political appointees. Right. And they're all unqualified, right? Just sit with that for a minute. You're the director of the CDC and you're being told not to talk to career scientists. You are being told to talk to the political appointees only. You are being told to pre-approve new immunization recommendations without seeing them and without seeing the data behind them. You all understand that that's a problem. When the United States government talks about limiting foreign news outlets and foreign journalists in, that's a problem, y'all. When the FCC director, right, says that they need to look at changing the rules in terms of foreign information, foreign media coming in, what our media outlets are allowed to publish, all of that is dictatorship. All of that is fascism. All of that is propaganda. All of it. And every single one of you all, many people are sitting around like shit is cool. I'm amazed that people can sit around and go like, oh, let's go grab a hookah and a drink and do what? Y'all are so comfortable that you are like fucking crabs in a pot on the stove. The water is slowly being turned up. And y'all are like, ooh, that feels warm and cozy. Meanwhile, you are about to be cooked. And guys, there are many, many ways that we go about combating this. So first of all, here's what I would say. If you are not actively talking about these issues to the people in your life that you know either did not vote or voted for this shit, that would be step number 1 for the people, right? Number 2, right? It's time to get rid of Hulu. It's time to make sacrifices. And no, you might not be able to cut out everything. Do you want to know why? Because so many of these companies have such monopolizations, it's hard to be able to get rid of everything from within them. Right? Do y'all know what all ABC owns? Do y'all have any idea how hard it is to divest yourself of everything. So I'm not going to lay that on you, right? I'm not going to lay that on you, but reduction wins. You hear me? Reduction wins. So maybe you don't get rid of absolutely everything, right? But you get rid of even half of what you've got. You get rid of 70% of what you've got. Right. And they want to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel just because they want to get, well, so you might have because it was a package. Butterfly. If you're Disney, if it was in a bundle, then that may be why. So if you have bundles, get rid of the bundle and then individually subscribe to things. Right? So just you can get rid of your bundles and whatever. So the two things that have to happen are your money, your time, and your, listen, I would say these four things. You ready? These four things. Your money, your time, your vote, and your voice. Those are the four things. Do you hear me? Your money, your time, your vote, and your voice. Those are the four ways in which you do things. This is how you combat things with those four things. Money, time, vote, and voice. So Candy Kiss, so here's my thing. I understand that some people may get rid of one thing and not another. And this, so like personally, I don't have Hulu, not doing the bundle. I have to have a conversation with the grandbabies because it looks like Disney might have to go, right? Yes, I know they're trying to buy, but it's not just FUBU. They're trying to buy FUBU, and then there's another part of them that's trying to buy something else, right? And so, it's time to look at the companies that are taking a stand, right? So for me, the fact that Netflix is now going to carry Sesame Street, looks like we're going to be doing more Netflix, right? And less anything else. And when I stop and think about it, we don't really watch a lot that's on the other things, like every now and again. You know what I mean? It's time to start thinking about those types of things. Yeah. So like I know Hulu is Disney. Yeah, I don't have Hulu. Right? Hulu is gone. Bye. The reason these people play in your face the way they do is because they know what you're comfortable with. Right? Yeah, you know what? I love Hamilton too, Sharon, but it's gonna have to be what it's gonna be for now. Maybe Hamilton should make a deal with Netflix. Right? But this is kind of where we are. Yeah, Target ain't playing in nobody's face. And I haven't, listen, I'm so for real with Target. I don't even have the app. Like, I don't buy shit at Target. I don't believe. I think I bought one thing at Target in the last year. And it was only because it was like I couldn't get it from anywhere else at the time that I needed it. And my mom and my daughter were here. And you know what I mean? So Deborah, I already look at other socials. So right now, you guys, I'm on TikTok, but I'm also streaming on Substack. I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm streaming on Facebook, right? And I don't particularly like many of those. The place where I have said is look for me on Substack the most, because that's the platform that I really want to beef up in the days to come. I do. I love Substack. You know what I mean? Just saying. I don't really know what the rest of them are going to look like. I don't know what the changers are going to be like, right? It's another reason why I have my Discord. If you are not in my Discord community, I recommend that you join it. If you have not signed up for my email list, I recommend that you join it. I have favorited Sherry, but I'm not in love with it yet, right? Cats, I'm on Lemon 8 because TikTok kept asking me to be, but Lemon 8 is also owned by ByteDance. And so I don't know if whatever deal is made with regarding TikTok is going to apply to Lemon 8 as well. Girl, I've never used ChatGPT for that reason. Yeah, my Discord is in my forest link. Yes, Petal. Yes, my Discord. If you go to my link tree at the very top and you see what looks like a little robot icon, that is the link to my Discord. Right? I don't fuck with AI across the board. Same thing for me, Catsmandu. Listen, and I'm on Blue Sky, Randy. I'm just not there as much. I need Blue Sky to beef up its platform in order for me to do what I want to do. Yeah, it is. Lemon 8 is owned by ByteDance. Yeah, I don't fuck with AI. Do y'all want to know what my thing is about AI? Hey, Pen 10. Here's my thing. If they are trying to push it on you for free, like they are AI, right? I know I don't want it. I don't think so, Texicana Mama, because Blue Sky is very much blue leaning. Give me a second. Yeah, no. Jay Grabber, it's Jay Grabber and the Blue Sky team. That's who owns it. It is not owned by Sinclair. Yeah. Jay Grabber is the software engineer that owns it. It's a woman, by the way. Jay is a woman. So the former Twitter CEO, Jack Dorsey, actually helped come up with Blue Sky, but Jack Dorsey does not own it. Jay does. Nope, Jack Dorsey helped make, was the former CEO of TikTok, and he helped make Blue Sky, but Jay owns it. And I like Substack the most. I do like Blue Sky because it is like X, but it has some limitations. So I would like for them to, whatever, right? So I don't know, Dax, that there is such a thing as safe apps and companies because they all want to steal your data and shit, right? I can just tell you, what I think are my preferences and why, you know what I mean? So that's my thought. Okay. So I want to go through a little bit more information for everybody because we haven't gotten very far. In addition to the CDC information that we've just gone over, no, Blue Sky does not have lives. No, Blue Sky does not have a live option. So it's important for people to keep an eye out as to what's happening on the ACIP and their recommendations and what that's going to look like down the road. If I were you, I would be contacting my insurance companies to see what they're going to be doing in line with these, in light of these new CDC recommendations. It's really important for people to be able to kind of know that, especially if you're pregnant, if you're having kids, if you're whatever, right? You might want to, don't wait for it to sneak up on you. 100%. Do not wait for it to sneak up on you. Become well-informed and advanced. I want to, how many of you all are aware that the DoD Financial Management just published their insight to the auditability of the DoD's fiscal year 2024 balance sheet? It was published yesterday. So I want to talk about what was published yesterday with regard to the Department of Defense. So during the, when we first started talking about Elon Musk and this Doge agency and this getting rid of waste, there was a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk about the fact that the DOD had not had a clean audit, like right out of the gates ever, right? So I want to talk to you about what this looks like. Okay, you ready? So you can download the full report, but we also have some highlights as well that that are important. So let me give you some fast facts. This is from the Government Accountability Office, and this was released yesterday. You ready? So although the DoD reported over $4.1 trillion in assets in its financial statements for fiscal year 2024, a significant portion of the government's total assets, it remains the only major federal agency that has never gotten a quote unquote clean audit opinion, which is when auditors find that financial statements are presented fairly. Y'all do know that that's what it means. When they say get a clean audit, it's that the auditors find that your statements are presented fairly. They've never been able to get that ever. And they constitute a significant portion of our country's assets, of our government's assets. That should be concerning. What they did find was that the DoD's components, financial statements, vary in their ability to actually be audited. For example, 11 Department of Defense components, which are responsible for 43% of their assets. So follow those numbers. 11 of the Department of Defense components accounts for 43% of their total assets, and 11 of them, they were able to achieve clean audit opinions. But 13 of them, which include the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, did not. So 11 components were able to get a clean audit. 13 components were not. 43% were able to get a clean audit, right? 57% were not. Reliable financial statements would support informed decision-making and improve mission operations. So here are the highlights. Appreciate you, Big Daddy. Okay, so here's what the GAO found. You ready? Let me check. Okay, gotcha. So for the 7th consecutive year since the DoD was actually required to undergo full scope audits, the DoD received a disclaimer of opinion on its financial statement audit in fiscal year 2024, meaning that the Department of Defense could not provide auditors with sufficient appropriate evidence needed to support information in its financial statements due to inefficient systems and processes. So this concerns me because we're talking about increasing this budget, right, to over a billion damn dollars, or $900 billion, $900 million budget. So the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2024 requires that the Department of Defense receive an unmodified clean audit opinion by December 31st, 2028. The Department of Defense's balance sheet, which is a principal financial statement, is a snapshot of its financial position at a point in time, showing its assets, like what it owns, and its liabilities, what it owes. Reliable balance sheet data support informed decision-making and improves mission operations. In fiscal year 2024, the DoD's balance sheet included information from 67 DoD compartments, which makes consolidation complex, right? Sometimes these things are done intentionally. I can't say that they are, but I think it's important to understand that the more complex you can make it, the more reasonable it is that you can't get a clean audit, right? So listen to this. These components contributed $1.8 trillion of the Department of Defense's total reported assets, 42.8%, and $3.1 trillion of its reported liabilities, which is 72.2%. However, nearly all, thanks, Lisa, nearly all of DOD's total reported assets attributable to components with clean opinions related to the Military Retirement Fund. Oh, so did y'all hear that? Nearly all of their assets that had components with clean audit opinions were in reference to the Military Retirement Fund. All the assets that were attributable to components that received disclaimers of opinions related to the Army, Navy, and Air Force. So listen at this. Percentage of DOD's total reported assets related to each type of audit opinion at the component level. So listen at this. 43.2% had a disclaimer of opinion, meaning they needed a disclaimer because the shit wasn't clean. 43.2%. 42.8% were unmodified, which means they were clean. Okay. 9.6% were qualified, and 4.4% no opinion. In addition, for fiscal year 2024, the DOD's OIG, which is the Office of Inspector General, identified 28 Department of Defense material weaknesses which hinder sustainable business processes and a functioning internal control environment for its financial management operations. The Government Accountability Office's analysis showed that several identified DoD-wide material weaknesses directly affected, y'all ready? $2.1 trillion, which is a little over 50% of the DoD's reported assets, and $146.9 billion of its reported liabilities, indicating that there is an increased risk that these amounts are materially misstated. And this is what we want to give more money to under Pete Hegseth, the guy who couldn't manage a $10 million, right? Got it? Let's see if I can have this. Boop. Look at you, blocked just that quick. Do y'all see that racist shit over here on YouTube? Blocked. Boop. Okay, so you gotta love that. Right, correct. So let me get down to here. The Department of Defense remains the only major federal agency that has yet to receive a clean audit opinion on its financial statements. The only federal agency that can't get a clean audit opinion on its financial statements. So there's a couple of highlight pages. Let me see if I covered all of them. Yep, I did. Okay, great. So now, oh, thanks, Dad Jokes. I got it. I want to couple that report with one more. Are you ready? So this next report is specifically about the Government Accountability Office's recommendation, hey Gemini, that the DOD, oh my God, that the U.S. arms transfers, that the State Department actually improve how it investigates and reports when foreign partners misuse the arms that we transfer to them. So we have in-use violations. So how many of you guys have heard Democratic Congress people say, oh, I only voted so that Israel could use those munitions in defense. I only voted for defensive measures. How many of you guys have heard them say that? I only voted for defensive measures for Israel. Because I've heard them say that quite a bit. Okay. Well, what happens is when those folks, oh my Lord, give me 1 second, y'all. Oh, there's not anymore. Oh, I love that. Bye, you. So what happens is the State Department actually does an analysis of our foreign agencies that get arms that we transfer to them. And if they use them in a way in which they weren't authorized, there's supposed to be an investigation, and we're supposed to report that they have a violation of how they were supposed to use them. Okay. So the United States provides defense items and services such as missiles, military training to many foreign partners, right? Right, Kelsey. Yeah, it's not the day. Okay, so to protect U.S. interests, the Government Accountability Office is saying that these partners agree to use the items for authorized purposes only and to keep them secure. U.S. agencies are supposed to work together to identify and investigate when foreign partners violate these agreements. However, the State Department doesn't have guidance on what incidents are worth investigating. And the Government Accountability Office says that the State Department needs to keep better records of past violations to ensure that weapons aren't shared with uncooperative partners. So they recommended ways to improve how agencies identify and investigate these incidents. Okay. So listen to what they found. The State Department is responsible for investigating and reporting end-use violations to Congress. That is, foreign partners' violations of requirements for the purpose, transfer, and security of defense articles and services that they receive from the U.S. government. The state relies primarily, get this, on the DoD to identify incidents that could constitute violations. So right there goes for me any trust or quite frankly fucking hope that we're going to get accurate information as to what needs to be investigated. Because if we are relying on the Department of Defense that can't pass a clean audit, that is run by Pete Hegseth, to tell the department, to tell the State Department what to investigate, I don't have any hope in hell or any confidence that they will do that. And how the fuck are we in 2025 and we don't have significant established guidelines on what we should be investigating and what constitutes an act worth investigating? Like, these are questions that I have, right? Questions that I have are, how in the absolute hell do we not have, how are we in 2025 and we don't have a Department of Defense that can actually pass a clean audit? That's number one. How do we not have a Department of Defense that has set guidelines and set processes for how to investigate and what to investigate from foreign agencies that we give things to, right? Why do we not have that at this point in the game? Give me 1 second while I take out the trash over here on this other channel, okay? Give me 1 second. Um, moment. Ooh, that means I need to. Hold on, sorry. Oh, there it is. There you are. Report. No. Sorry, I'm just I'm just taking out I'm just getting rid of somebody. Boom. Bye. You're out. Salam Abu Saraj. All right. So next. I had to go ahead and get rid of yeah, so Sonia C. Did he not finding us no more? His ass is out. In timeout and reported. I just have no I'm not dealing with it. All right, so here's the rest of the findings. Are you ready? So so listen at this. As of February 2025, the Department of Defense was tracking more than 150 incidents. Many of them were detected by DoD security cooperation organizations at diplomatic posts. However, the Government Accountability Office found that the State Department has not provided clear guidance to the DoD defining the types of incidents that warrant the state's attention. Without such guidance, the security cooperation organizations, they told the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, that that they exercise professional judgment in deciding whether or not to inform the state about the incidents. So as a result, the State Department may be unaware of potential violations that it needs to investigate. So let me just tell you what I hear. Okay, and you all see if you can follow this with me. What's up, Macaroni? Tell Sue I said hello. So listen, if you're the State Department, if you're Marco Rubio, and you don't want to have to tell Congress that foreign countries that you give arms to are using them in a way that Congress did not approve, then what you simply do is you don't tell the Department of Defense what is reportable. That way they never report it to you, right? So if I don't tell you what to look for, then you don't look for anything. And if you don't report it to me, then I can just claim ignorance. Well, we didn't get a report about it, so I don't know. So therefore, I don't have to report it to Congress. Does that make sense? So what you have is the State Department not setting the guidelines for the Department of Defense to say these are the types of things that we need to be notified of so that we can investigate. So if I don't tell them what to notify me about, then I end up not being notified. Therefore, I don't have to report it to Congress, who said these arms should only be used for these things. Does that make sense? Right, Sharon, it's shady as fuck. So let me just say this. So let me give you like a everyday kind of example. So let's just say I don't tell yes, Inger, this is an issue throughout all administrations. Yes, miss. Like, well, no. So, nope, not that. So, this is specifically about arms use. So, for example, let's just say that we give Israel particular arms to use. And when Congress votes to fund that, Congress says these things are only supposed to be used in defense. But then if Israel uses those munitions and those arms in offensive measures against Palestinians, and the State Department does not have guidelines to the Department of Defense that says, hey, listen, if we see this type of action taken and these type of attacks happen, we need to be notified so that we can investigate, then the Department of Defense doesn't notify the State Department that this is something that needs to be investigated. And so then therefore, Israel is never held responsible for using arms that should be in defense for offensive measures. That's what I mean. So it says further, the state's investigations of potential end use violations are inconsistent, in part because its guidance for conducting investigations does not establish required actions or timeframes. So I just say, listen, you're supposed to investigate this type of thing, but I don't tell you how that investigation is supposed to be done. I don't tell you in what time frame this investigation is supposed to be done. Therefore, it may or may not be done. A similar investigation may not be done the same for the exact same potential violation, right? So if I'm not grading the test by the same criteria, then that matters. You follow me? Oh, good gosh. I think that worked. Yeah, Inger. So this is my thing, is this is an issue throughout all the administrations, you guys. Yes, this is through all the, this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an American government issue. Okay. So what that means is, so let's follow this. Let's do this like, and lay it out, like write down the thing. So number one, the first problem is, okay. And this is all about our arms transfers to foreign entities. Got it? So this is about our foreign partners and what they do with the arms that we give them. And are they violating that arms transfer, right? And how they end up using it. Okay. So that's what this is about. And this is the Government Accountability Office doing this investigation. So the very first problem is this. Okay. The State Department has not outlined the criteria to look for so that if there is a violation, the DOD goes, oh, we know to look for this thing, right? This is suspect. And now we need to report it to the State Department to investigate. So that's the first problem. There is no criteria from the State Department to the Department of Defense for specifically what needs to be investigated. So without criteria that is outlined, the Department of Defense does not always pass along information to the State Department to investigate. Problem number one. Problem number two, for the things that do get reported to the state to investigate, the State Department does not have a specific investigation guideline, like an SOP, on how each investigation should be done. What are the steps for each of those investigations? And what is the time frame in which each of those steps is supposed to be done? That does not exist. So for the things that do get reported to the State Department doesn't consistently investigate each of those instances in the same way. That's problem number 2, right? Everybody gets that so far, correct? I just want to make sure that everybody's following me with regard to that so far. Does anybody have questions specifically around those 2 things? It's very messed up. And this is why I wanted people to hear me talk about this so that you understood exactly what we are faced with when it comes to the State Department and the Department of Defense, because it's super important. Shoo-wee. Okay. So next, it's a total mess. It's really crazy. Good afternoon, Amy. Good to see you. So next. So when you guys ask, like when we hear Congress people say, "Oh, I only voted for Israel to get arms for their defense," and then we know and hear of the fact that Israel is using these arms for offense and not defense, right? Well, if those things are not being reported by the DoD to the State Department, if the State Department is not accurately or consistently investigating those because there is a standard operating procedure for that investigation, then that means those things may or may not ever be reported back to Congress. So therefore, when Congress goes to vote on that budget again, they do not have the information that says, hey, your last vote to get these particular arms ended up with this number of end-use violations, therefore we should not give this money. It is another way to achieve plausible deniability by the State Department and by the United States government, because Congress is not getting that information reported back to them. So there is no checks and balances if you have plausible deniability. So questions that I would have for my members of Congress are very simple, right? My questions for members of Congress would be, have you outlined it? Because here's my thought process. When we talk about funding, why can't we institute a process for reporting within the funding, within the bill for the funding? Why can't we say, if we're going to give you X number of dollars, right, and X amount in equipment, right, in arms to you as part of that funding bill, why aren't the conditions for reporting included in that? Why aren't the guidelines for investigations included in that? Why can't we have a bill that says, if we're going to give you these arms as a part of as the contingency for you to receive these arms, right? Then this is what the investigation should look like. This is what the report should look like. These are the types of incidences that have to be reported by the DoD to the State Department. And this is the manner in which the State Department must investigate them. And these are the time frames in which each step of this investigation must be done. Because that is something that could be happening, that should be happening. Give me a second. So everybody's got that, right? I think that these are questions for our members of Congress that should happen. I just think that that's reasonable. It should be a thing. It should happen. Hold on, I gotta get back to where I was. Nope, that's a different one. I pulled up quite a few things for you guys to go over today, and I have about 40 minutes. How can we clone a million of me? I don't think that we can. Um, but these are the things that I would that I think it's easy. That's a simple fix to me, right? Um, if the State Department, if Congress includes in a funding bill what potential violations look like and what has to be reported and what those investigations look like and the timeframes for them, then it adds in a legal layer, a lawful determination of what those things are and how they would have to be reported. So, Miss C, I don't believe that immigration is quote unquote broken or the military is broken. It is designed and functioning exactly like Congress would like for it to. And that's the part that people need to understand. These systems are not broken. They are working exactly like the people that created them intended them to. Like there is a reason that the Trump administration and the Trump organization changed what immigration looked like in his first administration. There's a reason that when Donald Trump came into office in his first term, that we had a backlog of about 500,000 immigration cases, and when he left, it was 1.3 million because that was intended. There's a reason he changed the performance plan and we lost 40 immigration judges right off the bat because he set an impossible standard for them. There is a reason that these things are operating the way that they are. And folks, here's my opinion. Okay, this is just going to be my opinion, and people can take it however they take it. It doesn't matter to me. Okay. Um, in my opinion, similar to Charlie's thoughts around his great replacement reality. That's what he called it, right? When he said, pretty soon, this is what it's going to look like. When Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation says, we're burning down Washington to save America, what I believe is you have an extreme initiative that is taking place for one reason, and that is to retain power by a particular group of people. And all you have to do is ask yourself, what group has maintained systemic power in this country? That's it. And so what will happen is poor people will be hurt. It doesn't matter if those poor people are white, black, Christian, Muslim, spiritual, agnostic, it doesn't matter. The same way that the state of Israel is indiscriminate in how it goes after Palestinians is the same way the American government is indiscriminate in who these actions hurt. They don't give a shit who it hurts as long as it helps them retain power. And how do you retain power? You put people in positions that are aligned with your ideology. You put in loyalists. You change the confirmation rules the just did. You hear me? You change the rules for approving nominees because you have a supermajority, and therefore you can mass approve 42 fucking nominees by the Trump administration because you have a supermajority and you've changed the rules. That's why. And that's how you do it, right? Dana, I know this, Cleo, right? I don't know what's going to happen in a few years, right? What has to happen in a few years is going to be determined by the majority, by the people. That's it. If you all want to know what is going to happen, the answer is what are we going to do? That's it. Like I can't tell you if they're going to lose power. That's that's up to every single one of us. So the question is, what are we doing? Jabber, don't be speaking shit we don't want to happen. Take that negativity somewhere else. I can't do it. I do not listen. I cannot say this enough. I don't speak what I don't want to fucking happen. And people say things like that all the time. I hear it all the time. And I just wish people understood the power of their words. Why are we saying things that we don't want to happen? I don't understand why so many people do this. No, Jabber was joking and all of that, but swear to God, folks. Hi, Jab.
Hi. No, I'm sorry. I meant when I was about to follow up with it, we have to take it. And so I'm sorry. That was my half sentence. And I'm with you. I was just saying to Dana, like, I don't think they're just going to lose it like it's going to happen. That's all I was saying. Is that you're right. It's not going to magically happen. Yeah, I know. I need to finish my sentences. You're absolutely right. I do know better, everybody. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll go back down. No, it's
not you. But so many people say things like that. And I always, anybody who's followed me for a long period of time knows, I get so frustrated because I know for sure how powerful words are, right? And people spend so much time saying negative things, and then they wonder why negative shit keeps happening. Because you keep saying it's going to happen. You literally keep fucking creating it. Not you, but the people, right? And this is my thing. So I hear people that are on the Democratic side, that are on the progressive side, that I know believe in humanity, but they spend their whole day, going, yeah, the right's never gonna do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. And yeah, they're gonna do this to the people. And yes, the people are gonna suffer. And people are gonna, and all the time I'm like, why are you saying that? Like it is a declarative sentence. And it is a statement of fact. What in the fuck are you doing? So, y'all know I was raised neck deep in church, right? And so if you're a Christian, right, then here's your reference for what I'm saying. The reference is all those things that are not as though they were. Right? So literally, if you're a Christian, the Bible tells you that you should be speaking as if the things already are that you want to happen. They tell you where two or more touch and agree, right? Those types of things. Now, if you are not a Christian, and let's just say that you are spiritual or you are a Wiccan, right? You understand that when you speak the thing, right? When you spell something, you are literally casting a spell. Words are so like it's the same thing. Everybody just calls it a different thing. What we know is that what you speak out of your mouth has power to create. And I say this to people often. The universe doesn't work in negatives. What do I mean by that? When I say the universe doesn't work in negatives. And again, I'm going to go back to the Bible because that's how I was raised. Okay. When God stepped out into the big void, God didn't say, let there not be darkness. Did he? Nope. What did God say? Let there be light. He spoke what he wanted, not what he didn't want. And I keep saying this to people, your words are so important. And if we can't mind our words, right? Is it no surprise we can't mind anything else? Human beings are like, oh, how can I change you? Shit, you can't even change you. You can't even mind your own. You can't be responsible, not you, Jabber, but so many people aren't even willing to be accountable for what they say. So many people don't want to be responsible for the words that come out of their mouth. You don't want any accountability. You don't want to have to put any effort into minding you, but you're busy wanting to change everybody else. People say, how can we fix everything? Fucking fix you. Fix you. And without even trying, you will have no choice but to begin to fix the people around you because it spreads. That would be like if I could say that one thing to everybody, I would simply say, You know what I say to people all the time is keep a post-it note beside you for one day, for one day. And every time you say something or think something that isn't what you desire to be, put a tick mark on it. And I want you to, by the time you get to the end of the day, tally up your tick marks and see how much you are sabotaging yourself. See how much you are sabotaging your family, your world. How many times in a day do you say, that motherfucker ain't gonna change, right? Things are gonna get worse. How many times have you heard people say things are gonna get worse before they get better? Could you stop saying that? Even if you believe that to be so, could you stop saying it? Stop putting energy to it? And then when you get to the end of the day and you count your tick marks, then I want you to multiply that by 365 and then see what number comes up. I want you to see how much damage you do to yourself in the course of a year. I just get so, and I know it, you like in Java, I'm not talking to you. I just think about all of us, right?
Yeah.
I get so frustrated because it really is simple. I didn't say it was that easy, but it really is that simple. It is really that simple. If we all just started speaking what we desire and focusing our energy on what we want to create rather than what we don't, we would be so much further along than we are. I see people on TikTok and in Discord, and the only thing they share is the next negative thing that this administration is attempting to do. Every fucking press release. And it doesn't matter if the press release or the executive order isn't even a real thing. How many people were talking about Trump's making Antifa a T organization? Uh, that would matter if there was such a thing as fucking Antifa. There's no fucking organized organization. Like, what does that mean even? We're talking about it. He's making Antifa. Okay, well, tell me what that is. Because
It's a lot of things that haven't happened, that's for sure. In his first term, in his second term, and there's no doubt. I want to tell you a story, Danny.
tell me,
After we talked yesterday, right? We were on
Jeremiah.
live, and I popped in, and you said, you know, about connection and talking to people. And the main point I'm bringing up here is when you said, and when I'm finished having that conversation, what they do when they turn around and they walk away is immaterial, right? It doesn't, there's nothing you can do about it. So I thought about that because I know you don't believe that. I know you do. I'm joking, but I do think about the things we talk about, especially because, as I said yesterday, I said there's a healthy, I think, tension between our, some of our views, and I think it's great. And I, like you said about yourself, you're a straight shooter. I am too, right? I try to be as honest with myself and other people as possible, and so I then told you that I had to go to therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my therapy session. And I said to my therapist, I said, I have an interesting, don't record this anybody. And I said, I had an interesting conversation today with a friend on TikTok. She's a creator, she's a podcaster, so on and so forth. I said, and I told her what you said. And I said, I've been thinking about that because I think I've been operating from the standpoint that, I articulated this much better yesterday, but I do have that expectation that, or I get frustrated and I get angry, right, when I know that it's not necessarily going to change what they think walking away. There's nothing I can really do about that except bring the best, of the conversation to the people I'm talking to. And then there's nothing I can do when they walk away. And it's relevant to many areas of my life, and particularly this situation with Israel and Gaza. As I mentioned before, it was born out of a lot of the anti-racism work I was doing before this, where I was finding such utility and finding such faith in systemic, issues, right? And this movement towards stripping away everything and taking away everything that on the surface may look like a remedy, but really is, as you were talking about yesterday, the loopholes, right? It's all about finding those loopholes.
Yeah.
And then, I also realized that I think two things, I'm asking, can two things be true at the same time? Can we be more privy to the systemic forces that, in spite of the individual actors, I mean, they are individual actors, but they're part of a system there's evidence to the fact that they have put all of these judges in place. They have created these systems. They have worked against any kind of transparency, right? And baked in. Is calling that for what it is necessarily negative? Because, for example, like in my personal life, I've just in the last month and a half, I told you, like I launched my business the other day. I just got cast in a show last night, in a play, by showing up at a fundraiser last week, and they're losing an actor, and they open in 3 weeks, and we need somebody who can like really just come in and it was recommended by the woman who was being honored, who happened to invite me that night. It was a gala, so it was a few $100 a ticket. I wouldn't have gone. She's a dear friend. We actually do discussion group. We started a discussion group about Palestine. And people who are like, we call them Zy-curious. And so it's like people who are like, they feel like they want to know more about it, but they're kind of afraid because they're in Los Angeles, they're in this community, and there's like, Zions everywhere. And, she invited me to this thing. I wouldn't have gone, but all of a sudden I reconnected with the producers there. And a day and a half later, I get a phone call. A year and a half ago, I would not have been in a place to do that. So I am a master at self-sabotage, typically. And this really replaced. But
I'm going to finish that. No, I'm going to finish that, but here's what I want you to say. I used to be a master at self-sabotage.
I was, exactly. I used to be that.
But when you said it, you used present tense.
I did. You're right. I meant to use the phrase. Yes, you're absolutely right. Thank you. And I used to be a master of self-sabotage for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like in many spheres of my life, I've been very positive and moving forward and like shedding a lot of that, which is great. But I also see the reality of what the conservative movement has done over the last several decades. We also know that we all, myself included, we don't know a lot of what has been happening. And so in spite of those personal conversations, there are still, like when I say systemic, I don't mean like burn the whole system down. I mean, I would love that, but it's not going to happen. I know it's real. We need to be realistic. And I think when I say systemic, and when you are thinking about what I think about systemic, it's possible that you think that maybe I'm talking about a burn it all down kind of thing. I'm not necessarily saying that, but I have really tried to just like wholeheartedly and fully embrace and acknowledge the evidentiary happenings that have been going on and that are still going on in places like you've mentioned, the Heritage Foundation and Arrogance for Progress. Like they're doing these things regardless of the conversations we're having with the man on the street or the woman on the street.
Yeah.
So I think both things can be true, and it's not necessarily indicative of someone's own personal, personal hangups or personal self-sabotage or personal negativity. Can be, for sure.
Yeah. Here's what I'm saying. There's a difference between calling a thing a thing, right? And then saying that thing is always going to be, or what it is going to be, and how. And so there's a difference, right? One, I'm talking about what the establishment currently is. The system that we currently have is fucking rigged. I could say that because it is currently, right? What I'm not going to say are things like, and people say this, oh, the system's never going to change. Or, it's always going to be A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z. I'm not going to say those things because I do not desire for that to be true. Right. And so I think that that's what I'm saying is that calling a thing is perfectly acceptable. But I think that people have to become mindful of the words that they speak. So when we're talking about where we are going, even if where we are going is tonight or tomorrow, right? So when I talk about speaking about what is going to happen, that could be in the next 30 minutes. I'm not going to speak something that I do not want to give life to in the future, right? So I can talk about what the system is today. Today the system's fucked, right? I don't believe the system has to stay that way. And I believe it's us in terms of how we are accountable for ourselves. And the more of us that become mindful of our own thoughts, our own words, then that will inevitably change our actions. And as that occurs, it has no choice but to spread and become this other thing. And that's where we are the most powerful. I am the most powerful in my own thoughts, my own words, and my own actions.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And rest on
It said, let there be, by the way, I'm not a Bible person, but you said God, but God had the power to make that happen instantly.
right. But here's my thing. Even
We don't
but
have
what
that.
God spoke was, but what God was speaking was in the affirmative, right? Spoke from a place of what to create. Not the difference is so the universe is always working in your favor. The universe is always creating. The universe doesn't take away. It doesn't operate in reverse. It's always creating. Always. Even in death, it's creation. Energy never dies, it just transforms into something different. And so that's the point, is that even death is not an ending. That it just whether you look at it from a physical sense, a spiritual sense, whatever you look at, it doesn't stop, right? Even when your physical body is on the ground, it's still being transformed. It's still moving. Something is still happening, just in a different way. And when we understand that the universe is always working in your favor, then what you want it to be working on is so listen, when you say, um, man, I just, whatever you say that's negative, the universe goes, oh, that's what you want more of? Cool, here you go. Man, I'm always disappointing. Man, bad shit always comes. And you goes, oh, does it? Okay, yep, it sure does. Yep, I'm going to affirm whatever you say. And if we begin to think of it like that, I bet you watch what you say.
Right. And I learned that a couple of decades ago about saying like, oh my God, all this bad shit always happens to me. I used to say that all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a difference between the individual and the collective in a way. I understand that it can be contagious, but I feel like when somebody just said, I don't necessarily want to call anybody out here, but like about us making this through this, it won't be forever. I wonder where like the evidence suggests otherwise. We've always said this isn't going to last forever, right? And this too shall pass, as we say, I guess in Judaism or something. Somebody told me that. It's like this too shall pass. Well, but it's not passing. It's not. And there's always a whitewash. There's always a backlash that impedes a collective backlash that impedes any progress this country has ever made. So I can be positive, right? So I'm seeing a lot of people, about being positive and not just at the
But you don't hear me talk about being positive.
Well, but right, but I mean, but having at what point does I guess what does it look like? Like what does this change that we're talking about with this particular system, this time, these courts, these campaign finance, unleashing of any kind of restrictions, like where do we draw the line between we want to talk to people and we want to connect with them, but also we on the left feel like we don't play to win. We play to placate, and we complain. We put everybody on a purity test.
I don't.
And we subject a lot of people to a purity test, and we don't necessarily. Yeah. Okay. So right, but we.
I think, so
we chase every person who doesn't say something in exactly the right way, and it's like, but if you want to ultimately win and play the long game, right? Then how do you balance those two things?
So
with being, yeah.
So this is what I'm saying. So when I talk about talking to people like building connection, that's not the only thing that I talk about, though, right? And so this is my thing. So what I hear is like almost like an either or. And the thing about it is it's not an either or. It is an all of it together for me. So for me, what does it look like? So here's what it looks like for me. What it looks like is conversations that do build connection, that build understanding. That understanding then leads to productive conversations and construction of what needs to change. And at the same time, that leads to organizing and voting and protesting and all of the things. Like they're not um, they're not exclusive of each other. And for me, I'm not playing nice. So let me just. I said this the other day to somebody who was there. Listen, I'm not Gandhi, Mother Teresa. I'm not looking to have a kumbaya moment and hold hands with people that are fucking destroying and hurting people. Like that's not who I am. So like I have no desire to do, because I understand that there are some people that they're not who I am focused on the 75% of people, right? The 80% of people. Those are the people that I believe can have real conversations with, come to places of connection and agreement and understanding and create something good. The other fringe, fuck them and the horse they rode in. I'm not wasting my energy on them.
Just grabbing my water.
Yeah, good. Okay. Okay, Stace. So you understand what I'm saying? Like they are not okay, so people keep asking, why is our flag upside down? Because when the flag is upside down, that is a sign of distress. That is when you fly the flag upside down. Yes, that's what it means. That the country is in distress. That's what it means. So, folks, listen. So for me, I am right. Um, so for me, when I look at like, here's what I know. Um, when I talk about being mindful of and cognizant of what I speak and what I think, it's because I'm creating a way of being, right? Knowing that I can't control damn near anything. People say I can't control everything. Shit, you can't control most things, right? So I'm not, because I'm not responsible for those things. All I am responsible for is creating myself into a particular type of being so that when that shit happens, I am who I desire to be in the midst of it. Like I desire to be someone that is unshakable even in breaking environments. That's who I desire to be. And so then I have to cultivate my life in such a way that that's who I am. I can't. When you say you were making a list of things a minute ago, and what about campaign finance reform? I don't make campaign finance laws, right? I know good and well that when I wake up today, nobody's coming to me to ask me about how campaign finance laws should be done. So that's a circle number 3. Okay, making shit about it. So I'm focusing on circle number 1 and circle number 2 because there are some people. There are people that is their circle. There are people that are going to be responsible for how campaign finance law is changed and altered in this country, right? And so all I have to do is continue to build connection and understanding with as many people as possible and have as many people as possible continue to do that same thing until those two circles clash with each other or come together. And then that person does it the right way. You know what I mean?
Or there might be an initiative that could be, in other words, if you think in your first circle that voting, right, is going to, let's just say, solve that, for lack of a better word, right? Mm-hmm. But there are clearly forces in that third circle that you consider third circle, right, that we don't consider as high impact, but prevents the things in your first circle from being optimized in the way that you would like through all of this discussion and connection.
Okay.
So then isn't there a conflict there?
No. So let me show you what the circles are and the circles are not. 1 second. Because I want to make sure that when we talk about the circles, we're talking about the same thing.
I envision them as kind of concentric circles around which there's like spheres of.
There are, but I gotta tell you what they are.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we talk about circles, circle number 1 is the smallest circle, right? And this circle is the circle of control. The only thing that goes into circle number 1 are the things I can control, which 9 times out of 10 is going to be me, right? I can control my thoughts, my words, my actions, my outlook, me. I can control when I procrastinate, when I don't, if I go to therapy, if I don't, if I cuss somebody out, if I don't, like control. That's the
Like,
first
well,
circle.
locus of control is the, right? Like
Focus,
internal,
circle number
external.
1 is only things that you can control.
Right.
Circle number 2 is the circle of influence. So what do I have influence over? I have influence over my friends, my family, my followers. I have friends over my representatives. I have influence over, when I go organizing and door knocking and phone banking. I have influence when I meet with legislators, right? So that's my circle of influence. That's where I focus my energy. And then the last one is circle number 3, which is everything else. If I cannot control it or influence it, it's in circle number 3.
But you may not know, and you may not know that there are things in circle number 3.
I know that.
Because you don't give it. No, I'm not saying you individually, but there are things that we may not know and that are under our influence.
So this is your brain. This is everything that you could ever possibly know. Okay. Out of everything that you could ever possibly know, these are the things that you know that you know. Okay.
Right.
These are things that you know that you don't know. For example, I know I can't fly a fucking plane. Okay. Everything else are the things that I don't know that I don't know. But if I don't know that I don't know them, it does me no good to focus on it because I can't focus on it. So if I focus on the things that I control and the things that I influence, I will find my way into the things that I influence that I didn't know I had influence over.
Sure, or other people could help you find that way, right?
Again, because they're in my influence. Because
Maybe.
they are in, because if they're not introduced to me, then I don't have influence over them. Right? So the only way I get to circle 3 is to focus 80% of my time and energy into circles 1 and 2. That's it. Because that's all I can do. If I sit around and all I ever do is and speculate about what the other possibilities are, I'm wasting fucking time and energy. Not to say that you don't ever think about circle 3, but circle 3 should be less than, in my opinion, 20% of your emotional currency in your time.
I wasn't implying that you're just doing it on your own in a vacuum. I'm saying that there are other elements around you, but your main premise is correct. Absolutely, I agree with that. I do.
So this is my thing, right? So again, if I'm focused on the things that I can control, if I'm focused on the things that I can influence, right? And I understand that there are a multitude of things that I could choose to put into my circle number 2, but they're not all meant for me. So that is when it goes to what are the things that are my specialty? What are the things that are my niche? What are the things that are relevant to me? Like it always comes back to church because that's how I was raised, right? We have this saying in church is, everybody, you can't be everything. Listen, you can't be the deacon, the deaconess, the usher, the worship leader, the pastor, the youth leader, the Sunday school teacher. Like you cannot do all the things, right? Because not everybody that's in the choir can be the worship leader. And not everybody that's in the choir can sing a damn solo, right? Real talk.
Nobody's ever going to pay enough to do that all that shit anyway.
But the reality is that you're not equipped to it all. You're not equipped for it all. And so And even if you can do it, it doesn't mean that you're the person that should do it, because maybe somebody else can do it better than you. A friend of mine said it to me this way. I was coming to Newburgh for a speaking engagement. I was the keynote for the speaking engagement. And I get there and I park and I've got like merch and stuff in the trunk and I've got my bag and whatever. And when I text her and I say, "Hey, Lena, I'm here," right? All of a sudden, yeah, I got like 8 minutes, Pam. So all of a sudden, these folks come out and they come to carry my bags and stuff out of my car. And and she comes out and I was like, "Girl, I can carry my own bags." And she said, I know that you can carry your own bags." She said, "And you're about to go in here and do something that none of us can do. None of us can do what you're about to do. So the least we can do is carry your bags so that that's some energy that you can just keep for yourself so you can do what you do, because we can't do it." And so what I have learned is just because I can do something doesn't mean I should do something, right? There are other people that can do those things because they can't do the other things that I can do, right? And so for me, that's how I choose to function in my circles. I can't I could run for office. I can do this, but I focus on the things that I do that other people can't do. And so I just focus on that, right? What did I do, Charlotta? So it was, like I said, I was a keynote, and it was specifically around. I was speaking to a group of youth at that time for a particular event. So of it was a combination of speaking, teaching, poetry, and education. That's what it was. It was a combination of all of those things, almost like a workshop, if you will. Yeah. So, right, coolest mom ever, you allow yourself to receive. And that's sometimes very hard for people to allow other people to do things. Let me go ahead and
I get Stacy.
yeah, Stacy D.
Hey y'all, real quick. I know you gotta go, and so do I. Cause I'm at the working place.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm just looking for a little quiet spot. Hi. Okay. So I just wanted to real quick pop up because of to piggyback on what you said about the whole Antifa thing.
Mhm.
And what I think people are freaking out about. You're right. It's not an organization, and that's the issue. Is that it can be declared, you can be declared part of this organization, quote unquote, by doing any of the things that we resist, and thereby find yourself in a bad place. So I think people are having a hard time navigating the fact that, yes, it
There's
is
nothing
not
to
a
navigate,
thing.
though. That's my point.
But that's what they're saying, what they're like when they're saying, oh my gosh, the concern that you're hearing when we are saying, oh my gosh, he's made this nebulous thing, a real thing that he can't, but it makes it so that anyone can say you are participating in fascist behavior, you're
No, it
under
doesn't.
arrest.
And I'm gonna tell you why. It's still not law. An executive order is not law, folks.
Correct. But
That's the
we've
first thing.
seen, and I'm not arguing with you, I'm just
I know.
stating, like,
But
we've seen a lot of things happen behind his executive orders that were not law.
But this is my point, right? Is that A, it's not a law, right? Number two, we already knew that this was a thing because of Project Esther, right? We literally talked about this very thing. But my point is simply this: because you can't navigate it, I'm not going to worry about it. There's nothing that I can do about it, right? Because there's nothing I can do about an executive order for an organization that it doesn't even fucking exist. I'm not wasting my time and energy on it. And
It just adds another calculation for people who are being involved.
I don't think that it does.
I think it does, because if I am now going to go and participate in a music festival, and if I'm going to participate in a music festival, now I'm concerned about what the ramifications could be. If I'm sharing information on social, then I'm concerned, or is someone going to look at my social and now I'm in a position to lose my job?
But so like,
use my abilities.
but my whole thing is that that was true before that executive order, right? Right. When we talk about sharing things on socials, that was true before the executive order. And so this is my thing. This is about perspective. How much do I, because here's the thing. Um, and I hear what you're saying that it adds another layer, but for me, it doesn't because it's what I already knew. I've always known that they could make these claims. I've always known, and as Black and brown people, we listen.
Correct.
This is, you know what I mean? Come on, they said Kilmar Abrego Garcia in 2019 was MS-13, and he wasn't, right? So we have always that the United States government can manufacture whatever the fuck they want to manufacture or target people that they want to target. That doesn't change, right? And so I think the reality is that something that I want to give my energy to? I don't, and I can't. I can't because if I do that, I waste my energy and my time from doing work that I could be doing. I can't do anything about what them folks do, and I'm not going to waste my like if it becomes something that I've got to take on, then that's what I'll do. But until then, all I do is make sure that what I'm sharing, when I'm sharing information, I'm sharing information factually. And what I have found is that if I share information factually, if I am avoiding incendiary um, and I am leading with carve, it's very hard to make a case on anything else. Now, there are people that I see that are creators who think like me, but because of the way they verbalize things, they're at risk. I don't worry about being at risk because of the way that I lead and the space that I lead from. The fact that I flat out say I don't condone or advocate for violence, and that is something that you can see in everything that I've said for flipping years upon years upon years. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's the thing. I can't. That's with them. Your words are not. So I can only focus on what I can control, how I show up in the space, and I can't worry about what them folks do. I just can't.
Right.
They
I
don't
get
do
it. I get that. I guess I'm just speaking for thinking of all of us, like we're not all built like Annie. We're not all sleeping on the right of way. I'm just saying. we had going to the music festival. Like I wish I would and clink me up. So right, we're not all built like that. So I'm saying, speaking for everyone who the folks who are going hard and the folks, just add it into your calculation, something to keep in mind. If you've been mindful, be more mindful. If you've been a little reckless, maybe get a little mindful. If you're going to a music festival with a group of people who are looking to cause some good trouble in a very bold way, and you know you can't lose your job, maybe pick another group.
100%.
Maybe pick another music festival.
100%. And this is what I was saying, right? Everybody has to be active in the way that fits into your life, right?
Right.
And for me, because so I have always taken this approach as a woman, as a brown woman, all the things, right? As that, I always know them jokers looking for something. So I don't give them that. Right?
I think people are feeling, which is me too, that they are, now that has been said and it is out there, that they are now emboldened in an even bigger way.
To me, they stay emboldened. And for me, I'm just like, okay, well, whatever. All I know is, here's all I know is I'm not worried about them folks. And I think part of it is because I truly do believe that you don't want to fuck with me. And the reason you don't isn't because of me. It's because I put out so much good. You don't want
my anointed.
Yeah, touch my anointed to do my prophets no harm. You don't want to fuck with me.
Oh no, I got you.
And then that's it. And I think that part of that is the reason why. You know what I mean? Like,
yep. I get it.
I just can't. Listen, if you're wrong, you're wrong. And it is what it is. So listen, here's what's gonna happen, y'all. Because it is 2:11.
Yeah, I was gonna say I gotta go get a before shot, and you gotta
go get a before shot.
So drop me off.
Yes. I love you guys. So listen, I will be back later on this evening. And if you are in Southwest Virginia, and even if you're not, you want to come back because the thing that I'm going to be talking about later has to do with elections. It has to do with a specific current representative. It has to do with integrity. It has to do with legality. That's a good question, Michigan Mountaineer. Michigan Mountaineer. It's Friday evening, so I'm probably going to say like 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Okay, because it's going to be good. So I appreciate you all. Love you.